Okay, looks like we've got quite a few on. So again, welcome everybody to the Angus Verified Producer Webinar. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Liz Pearson. For those of you who don't know me, I've spent most of my life, all my life in the beef industry with our commercial Angus beef operation. We're here in the New England and our family-owned stock and station agency business. The largest part of the last decade for me has been mostly in the feedlot industry with Cargill Beef and Elanco Animal Health. Getting a good background in that space. And then more recently, for the last 6 years, I've been here at Angus Australia, working and supporting beef processors and commercial Angus beef brands, and assisting in domestic and export beef sales and marketing. So that's just a little bit of a background on me for those who don't know me. I'd also like to introduce Adam Allingham. Adam's going to be facilitating our Q&A session. So Adam is an MSO, or a Member Services Officer. He's been here for the last 2 years, and Adam's role entails handling seed stock registrations, DNA sampling and testing, and member inquiries. So we'll have a couple of special guests throughout the night, so keep your eyes peeled for those. So just to start off, a little bit of housekeeping. Any questions that you may have, please put those into the chat function. So if you hover your mouse over your screen, down the bottom in the middle, you'll see a little a row of icons will pop up, and about the middle there's one that says chat. So if you have any questions anytime throughout the presentation, please put those in there. Adam will put those all together and be hosting our Q&A session at the end. So all the information in tonight's webinar will be distributed to all the attendees, and also the webinar is being recorded. It'll be made available on the Angus Australia website and on our YouTube and Facebook. So our agenda for tonight, so the what, the why, and the how. So we'll go through the details of the program, along with some of the success stories that we've seen so far. And we'll also hear from one of our early adopters of the program. Angus Verified has been integrated into the AuctionsPlus selling platform, so that animals can be identified as Angus Verified on AuctionsPlus sale catalogues. And Angus Street and Samantha Coinis from AuctionsPlus will be joining us to demonstrate this feature. We'll do a live demonstration and of how to set up an account and verify your animals, and then we'll finish off with our Q&A session. Okay, so not all black cattle are Angus, and this is really the crux of where this has come from. So why was Angus Verified created? So we had considerable feedback over the last 5 years from feedlotters and processors, highlighting the challenges that lot feeders and processors encounter when they're purchasing purebred Angus cattle. So the best example of this is in the feedlot industry, where feedlotters are buying cattle mostly in store condition, meaning that sometimes it's a little bit harder to identify those purebred Angus animals. But then they'll put those animals on feed, and at about around that 50 to 60 days on feed mark, that's when you really start to see an animal express its true characteristics as the body condition develops, and it becomes clear then that there may not be Angus, or there's something else crossed in there with them. So when a feedlotter is buying, why is it an issue? So when a feedlotter is purchasing cattle, they'll budget at purchasing at the Angus price. But then if they realise that those animals aren't, they can't sell them on to the processor at the Angus price at the other end. So overall, these cattle don't meet the expectations, particularly for meat quality characteristics like marbling, and they can't go into those premium Angus beef brands. These cattle are then downgraded either before being processed as Angus or after, when they don't meet the brand specs. And the flow-on effect of that really is a processor not being able to supply their customers with the quality or the quantity that they expect from a high-quality Australian Angus brand, leaving an unfulfilled contract and a disappointed customer. And these are mostly overseas customers, and a lot of this high-quality Angus product is exported. So what can we do, or what would the supply chain like us to do? And they were very clear on the message that this was a challenge. And they said, we want you to develop something that will help us validate, if someone says it's an Angus, that it actually is. Am I there? Am I back?
You're back, yes.
Oh, sorry, everybody. I actually don't even know where I was up to. Was I on this slide, Adam? No, I'm not even sharing my screen. That won't help either. Okay.
Yes.
So is that the slide I was on?
Yes.
Apologies, everyone. I'm not really sure we were on the NBN here in Armidale. We thought we'd be right. Okay, well, not quite sure what everyone's missed. I was quite happily chatting away to myself. But the main reason that we're using the analyzed database to check if these sires are actually on the right pick, and that being the breeder pick. So you've identified the breeder pick is the pick the cows are on. So we're going to have a look and see, was that bull there when he was supposed to be, or when you said the corresponding joining period is. So obviously, it's important to have that integrity, I guess that integrity hoop in the back of the program. And this was really the hoop that you jump through to maintain that integrity. So notifying the analyzed database of animal movements is a legal requirement. So from one pick to another, whether you own the picks or not. And it's important to note that the analyzed database, when you do move animals onto different picks, that it's only a database of location of animals, not necessarily or not of ownership. So if you are sending animals to agistment or anywhere, anything like that, you still need to do those transfers. So even with bulls, if you're leasing bulls or borrowing bulls, it's still again important to make sure you transfer those animals. Now, just moving my screen a little bit here so I can see everything. Okay. So why would I join Angus Verified? So based on all of the feedback that we received from the feedlot and processing sector, it was really important to make sure that we could provide them with something that was going to give them some confidence, some faith and trust in a program that claims if an animal is identified as Angus, that it actually is. So it's really about building that integrity and the confidence and trust out there in the marketplace, and but integrity for your business as well. It's also the opportunity to leverage a competitive advantage. So how do I as a commercial producer, differentiate myself from my neighbour? So it's that opportunity to have that competitive advantage. It improves business credibility also, and that's really linked to that confidence and trust. It rewards the use of registered sires. Obviously, we know that sires are pretty valuable, particularly this year. We've seen some pretty crazy prices this year. And obviously being a registered sire, there's obviously a little bit more cost involved, and it really rewards that use of those sires. And we can also validate that we know those animals have an Angus pedigree in the background. So this program also includes exclusive Angus verified tags. You can see those at the bottom, and I'll talk a bit more about those further on. And also all the animals that are verified will be identified in the Angus Australia database with their RFID. So they'll be recorded for their life, and that identification is there. It doesn't matter who owns the animal. You don't need to transfer ownership. It just sticks with that animal. All right, so what do we record in the system, and what information do you need to have? So on your animals, it's pretty basic. We think you've got to have the NLAS ID or the RFID, the breeder pick, which we spoke about, which is where the cows were when they were joined, the birth year of the calves, the birth range by month. So it might be, for example, July to September. We don't need any dates. The gender of the animals, the mob name that you want to give them just to identify them in the system, the Angus sire ID or a sire group. So you are able to group your sires. So what a lot of people have done already is create a sire group for 1 year. So you don't need to know individual sires for individual animals. And then on the sire side information, so we need to know the pick number that they're on, their Angus sire ID. So there's an example of one there to the right, and then the NLAS ID or RFID of those sires. So when we do the live demonstration, I'll show you the CSV templates that shows how this information is going to be uploaded. Okay, so how do you sign up? So you must be a member of Angus Australia, which is an annual membership cost of $110 a year. You need to subscribe to the Angus Verified program, which is also an annual subscription of $110 a year. You then would download the AgLive app. So AgLive, that's a new company. It's our third-party software provider that allows us to get the data into the system. And then you verify your animals at $1 a head. So all the program support is provided by Angus Australia, and that includes phone calls, one-on-one on the phone, video calls, face-to-face, after COVID, of course. So whatever support's required, we're certainly more than happy to give it. You only need to verify the progeny. There's no cost to record the sires. There's no records required for the cows. However, you do complete a declaration stating that the cows and the progeny meet the Black Angus Cattle Assessment Guidelines. So those guidelines, these are the guidelines. So obviously they must be Angus by Angus. And these are visual guidelines. So you might notice they're slightly different to what seed stock guidelines are, but obviously this is a commercial program, and we want to make sure that we're certainly picking up all the animals that we should be. So straight black and representing Angus phenotype, a small amount of white on the underline. So that would be if you were standing in front of the animal, and if you could see any white from the front, particularly in between the brisket and the front legs, that wouldn't be accepted. No white legs and feet, no horns, skers are acceptable. However, they must not be fixed to the skull, and no bos indicus or dairy characteristics. So we spoke about these new Angus Verified tags. So they're exclusive tags for the program, but they're not mandatory. So this replaces the old Angus Assured and Angus Side tags program, which really had no verifiable integrity behind them. Hence why we've taken those away and brought in tags for this new system. So really they're just designed to be a visual market identifier. And we really encourage people to use them if they're selling cattle in a public auction setting, or retaining or selling on future breeders. So there's two types of tags there, as you can see. There's an identifier, simple Angus Verified identifier, or a management identifier. So Angus animals, they must be verified before you can order the tags, meaning they must already have that NLIS button in their ear, as this is their identifier in our database. And from that point, you can only order up to as many tags as animals that you've actually verified. And this is so that we can, I guess, control and manage the tags out in the marketplace, and people can have faith that, or as good a faith as possible, that the tags are in the right cattle. You know, we understand that people would put management tags in at the same time they put in an NLIS button at times, but as they need to have that NLIS button to be verified first, we would really encourage people to only use these as an Angus Verified identifier. We really haven't seen much uptake of them as a management tag. So if you're in this program, it puts you into the Angus Verified producer list. So all partners that process cattle under the Angus Australia meat brand verification program, called Verified Black Angus Beef. That's the logo there on the left, with a big gold circle. So all of these other brands to the right of that all work pretty closely with Angus Australia to verify their meat brands. So the difference here, you've got Angus Verified is for live commercial cattle, and then Verified Black Angus Beef is for beef brands. The difference really is that for the beef brands, we make sure that we go to a processing plant, we do an audit, and as long as the cattle meet our guidelines, which are the same for both programs, that if there's 200 went in one end of the slaughter floor, that only the same amount came out the other end of the box. So producers can opt out of this list if they don't want to be on there, but you know, it really does put you up in that box seat, as we say, when you're marketing your cattle. So I just want to talk about and highlight some of the success stories of Angus Verified sales so far. Now, the program hasn't been out very long, but we've seen some great successes. So these are from Bridgewater Angus steers. Sold 52 Angus Verified steers, averaging 260.5 kilos for 644.9 cents per kilo, or they came out at $1,680 a head. Now, obviously, that's back in April. They were receiving top prices then, but obviously this demonstrates to us just how much the cattle market really has jumped since that time. Bridgewater Angus is owned by Roger and Geraldine Flower in Guyra, and they are some of the early adopters of the program and extremely happy with those results. So another exciting success story is Finola Livestock. This lot we believe is a new Australian record for commercial unjoined heifers at $4,200 for the top 15 pen. So Nola Livestock is well known to many in the beef industry, with a strong reputation for exceptional quality Angus cattle. And now I would like to introduce James Laurie. So James, along with his brother Ted and their families, own and run Nola Livestock, based at Gloucester in the Hunter Valley region. Nola Livestock is an Angus seed stock business producing around 100 bulls a year, and runs a commercial Angus herd side by side with their seed stock business. James and Ted are early adopters of Angus Verified and have been more than happy to throw their support behind the program. James is also a director on the Angus Australia board. So thank you, James. Hopefully your screen is on. Could you there, James?
I'm there, Liz. I can see myself. I'm not sure anyone else can.
I'll stop sharing my screen.
I'm right to go anyway, so they probably.
Well, that's good. That's good. James is. I just want to say thank you, James, for coming on. Could you tell us, why you joined Angus Verified, what you think the benefits are to your operation, and then what you believe it could look like in the future?
I suppose initially we thought about it, Liz, because of the marketing advantage you were saying earlier, that not all Angus cattle are black these days, and that's going to be an ongoing characteristic of the beef industry as you get more black Limousin and black Simmentals, etc., move into the marketplace, and they're obviously not going to perform like Angus cattle in the feedlot situation. And in our commercial herd, we've always been trying to set ourselves aside from the rest. All our females are sire identified, single sire joining, and then we track them and right through the feedlot stage, so we can go and look at our steers in a feedlot situation, and we know exactly what bulls those buy. So a program like this, I suppose, is just probably just puts a bit of an icing on the cake. And I suppose the thing that really gave us the impetus to do it is that a couple of the feedlots, such as Wyler and particularly Jacks Creek, that we sell our cattle to, we're part of their program. So we thought, well, obviously, if they're looking for Angus Verified cattle, we know that should do the next step on farm. And then when one of the first lots of Angus Verified cattle, I'm not sure when the first was sold in the sale yards at Gloucester, I think the Bowen Livery team and sold 3 or 4 pens of Macca's pastoral steers. There was a lot of interest locally in Angus Verified from just some of our clients and other commercial producers that were asking us about it. And we thought, well, we probably should go through the program ourselves, and quite happy, obviously, with the results of the heifers that were put through the Angus Verified program and backed up with AuctionsPlus and, obviously physical auction on our sale day. So, I think it's obviously got a fair way to go. We need a lot of people in it so that all the feedlots can actually, really demand enough Angus Verified cattle so they can put pens together. But I think in the first 2 or 3 months, you'd have to be pretty pleased with the throughput you're getting at the moment.
Yeah, we certainly are. Thank you, James. It's something that we're having a lot of inquiry about, and there's a few thousand cattle in the system, and quite a number of members. So it's good to see that people are engaging in that space. So thank you very much for joining us, James. I really appreciate you just sharing your thoughts on that.
Yes,
I know people get sick of listening to me rabbit on about it all the time. So thank you very much for that.
Not a problem.
So I'm going to share my screen again. See how my IT skills are going. All right, so some of these faces here will likely be very familiar to you, or some of them will be at least. So all of the gentlemen here have either traded, bought, or sold Angus Verified cattle at this point, and have been really happy to be and supportive to endorse the Angus Verified in the program in the market. So we've got Rodney Neal here. He's based at Guyra. He's a trader. Rodney McDonald here is an agent down at Gloucester. He sold those first animals and really talking to a lot of his clients about the program. We've then got Chris Patterson here. So he's an agent in Tamworth, but he's also the owner of Heart Angus. So he's sort of sitting in both camps. And then you've got Scott Bremner over here from Elders and buying cattle into Kalara feedlot, and they've all been really positive about that. So on that note, talking about marketing animals. So as I mentioned, Angus Verified has been integrated into the AuctionsPlus selling platform. So from AuctionsPlus, please welcome CEO Angus Street and project manager Samantha Coynes. They're going to show us the Angus Verified indicator in the lots and in the catalogues, and I really encourage you to ensure that your agents are listing your Angus Verified cattle with this identifier. And they're also going to show us how to filter when you're searching for Angus Verified cattle. So I'll turn over to you, Angus.
Thanks, Liz. If you could go to the next slide, I think that's a really good. There you go.
Yep.
So I guess what's important to kick off with is, firstly, from a marketing perspective, the new AV indicator there for lots that will appear on lots that are Angus Verified. So that is essentially our catalogue tile on 100 heifers from Lucendale. They're Angus. And from a buying perspective, people trawling the catalogue, that red AB will jump out at them. So that's the first kind of marketing element. And then if I share my screen, if you stop sharing, Liz, thank you. And I share my screen. Once I've, can everybody see that? Yep.
Yep.
Once I've clicked into the lot, as you can see, here's the, not that exact lot, but there's 5 non-station mated heifers and calves. I scroll down here to the vendor, the account pick, accreditations, and there is our verifications tag. So Angus Verified is the only, I guess, verification scheme that we currently have in our system outside of, I guess, industry standard accreditations. How it currently works is that an assessor, when they come out and do an individual assessment of your animals, will need to collect all of the EID tags and upload those EID tags as they are uploading the fats and weights into the system. In the back end, an assessor has the ability to then run a verification of those EID tags. Essentially, they click a button, all of the tags are pushed out to Angus Australia, to Angus Verified. They give them the tick of approval, comes back into our system. It happens obviously a lot faster than this, but we get a green tick on our end. And essentially, if all of the animals, so 100% of the animals in a lot, the EIDs are verified, then this tag will be able to be, will appear essentially. So if there is, 50 Angus verified steers and 49 of them are verified, and there's one EID tag that either isn't in the system or perhaps has been entered incorrectly from the agent, then the lot will not be allowed to be marketed. All 50 head, should I say, will not be able to be marketed as Angus Verified. They can remove that one head and essentially, or they can jump into the Angus Verified system, see where the bug is, see where the error is, run it again, and all 50 head can be verified. So, so that's, we've talked about it at a catalogue level, at a lot level, and then what is coming soon is, as people will know, you can jump into our category filters here, and I've just jumped into commercial cattle. I'll jump into filters, and this was going to be relabeled accreditation and verifications, and I'll be able to jump down into here and there'll be an Angus Verified filtering section. So just like I've jumped in and filtered all of the EU cattle, I'll be able to create a filter for all of the Angus Verified cattle. Now you have the ability to save that search. So I click in here and I will type Angus Verified. And at any point in time, I'm able to jump in here and find all of my saved searches. So as a buyer, as a breeder, you can jump in here and at any point in time, find all of your previous saved searches, click on them, and it will show all of the lots that meet your criteria, your filtering criteria, that are available online. So yeah, like really simple. We're really excited to be working with Angus Australia. We think that it's a, it's a really exciting scheme. It brings a lot of trust and integrity to the system. And I think, as James was saying, it's a program in its infancy, and we're here to support the growth and receive the feedback to see what works and what doesn't work, and help it on its journey. So it's pretty much it, Liz. And I think if there's any specific questions on the integration, on the marketing elements, how it works with agents, please drop them into the Slack, into the channel, and we can dig into the nitty-gritty detail at the end.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, Angus. Make sure you put your questions in there in the chat function there for Angus. So moving on to some of the resources that we've created. So we wanted to make this program quite independent. Everything is you're able to do it in your own function. You don't have to send anything specifically to Angus Australia. You can sit there and do it at your leisure. But we've created a lot of help resources there. So we've got the basic information about what it is, how you become an Angus Verified member. We spoke about being a producer on the producer list. We've got our terms and conditions there. But then this section down here, I'd really like to highlight where we've got our frequently asked questions, a checklist, which I'll show you in a moment, our guidelines. I really encourage people to check out the video and written tutorials, which is just here, which I'll also show you an example of that in a moment. But all of the templates you need, access to the online web portals, to download the Ag Live app, and then how you go and look up some animals if you want to check, are these animals actually in the system? So as mentioned, we're happy to provide that one-on-one support, and I can tell you that from all the new users that I've been helping, they range from 25 to 75 years, that once they've set up their account and they've verified the animals once, I'm going to quote that it's easy. So don't be too baffled. Okay, so this is the checklist I spoke about. It's really just a quick checklist to make sure that you've got all your memberships, you've set up your accounts, you've got all the information that you need, you've checked that all your sires have been on the right picks when they should have been, and you might find that some of those bulls that you bought weren't transferred, for example, and you'd need to go back in the analyzed database and make sure those transfers are made on the correct date as well, because obviously we're going to be looking at, was he there when he was supposed to be joined to cows? So you can then make sure we fill out all our templates, which we'll show you, and upload those, and then request some tag forms at the end. So we've also got what we call Angus Verified Help Center with all the functions that you can use. So that's just here down the left-hand side. And this is obviously what the app looks like. It flows quite functionally. So you would record sires, notify of any AI joinings, group your sires, record your animals, order your tags, and you can also look up individual animals if you're looking for information on those. And then for each function, we've got these written step-by-step instructions. So there's a video, there's written help. You really have plenty of instruction, but again, happy to do that one-on-one. So we keep talking about Ag Live. I just want to give you a bit of information. So Ag Live has the app and the web portal. So this is the software provider that allows us to get all of your information in, to put it into our database and check everything. So Ag Live is a paddock-to-plate blockchain digital platform, which has the capacity to track the cattle from birth right through to the processor, and then also on from finished beef product to the consumer's plate, ensuring the full traceability and quality. The Ag Live app and web portal were developed in conjunction with Angus Verified, and provides that platform to collect and validate all that necessary data that we need to verify your animals and then record them on our website or in our database. The Ag Live app also has the capacity to record other farm management practices on individuals and or mobs, and it can also generate and send ENVDs direct through to trucking companies or processors when cattle are leaving the property. So everything can be added into, all the information for animals for Angus Verified can go into the app or into the web portal once the app account is set up. Mostly we encourage people to use the web portal to upload their data with CSV files. It's much easier, and it's a lot easier to see what you're actually putting into the system. So this is how you would log on to our web portal, and we've kept talking about the fact that you have to download the app and have an account first. And this really demonstrates the reason why. So to be able to log into the web portal, you must first set up your account, and that will enable you to scan that QR code to access the functions and maintain that blockchain security of your data. I've no doubt a few of you may have tried to scan that QR code, and I certainly would encourage you to do that just briefly. So that scanning of the code allows you to log in, basically. You don't need a password or a username. That's all been created in your app further on. Going, hope everyone's scanned, moving on. Okay, so let's get into the live demonstration. And this is really the bit that I guess is going to be most helpful for you as producers on how to get your animals in. When we go into the app, we're going to create an account. We've got the user license agreements and they're quite in depth and I would encourage you to read them quickly. You'll set up a passcode. So we'll just do that as we go along here, retype that passcode. And then we've got some quite a reasonable amount of information about the security for this account. I've talked about blockchain technology. So it's really important that you do this process and fill this part out to maintain the security of your program. If you did happen to lose your phone or you got a new phone and you hadn't gone through this security process, we would really struggle to get your information back. So this is pretty important. So we're going to secure my account. So we're about to get a set of 12 recovery words on the next screen. Safe storage of these words is very important. So you really need to keep track of these words. So yes, I've read it. I know I'm going to get some words and here they are. I'm just going to copy those over myself so that when we get to the next screen, we're going to be able to put them back in the order that they are. So it's important that you make sure they're in the right order as well. So please select your recovery words in order. So just bear with me as I put these in, hopefully in the right order. A bit like a game of memory, really. Okay, so press complete. That was successful. That's what we're looking for. We'll put our PIN in again. Okay, now we're going to set up a user profile. So I would go in and add a picture. And we're going to put the full name in. Now select our country for mobile. So we've got Australia and Canada there. Ag Live are in both countries. So get that right. Put our email address in. And then a signature. And this is a little bit hard to do on computer screen on my side. So hopefully that will do. So this is really important here. I will be legally bound whenever the signature is applied. So whenever you do put the information in, was really, it's important that we're putting in information that is definitely true and correct. Save that account. That username. So I'm going to register as a new business. There is also a function here called join an existing business. And that would be if you had multiple people in your family or your business that or your agent, for example, who you wanted to have access to your account. So you are able to add others to your account and they join in this process here. But for now, we're going to register a new business. We're going to say it's a livestock. Select your service type is producer. Livestock type cattle. And cattle type beef. So this is really important now where we would say yes to this. If we did this and said no and tried to come back, I know currently the program struggles a little bit with that, but so for now, we're going to say, yes, we're a member. And then what we're going to use is our member ID. So when we become a member of Angus Australia, we get given an ID. We also need to have an Angus Tech username and password. So some of you may have a phone number that is your username that you might have used in the past. Even if you're not a member, which would get you into our database or Angus Tech, but you need to have those set up correctly when you become a new member to ensure that you can access the program. You wouldn't be able to access them otherwise. So we use this test account. Okay. So that's verified. So it's checked that, yes, I'm a member. Rightio, I'm going to put my business name in. Our company ABN. And then we're going to do what we call link accounts. So this Angus Australia account is the information we've already put in for Angus Tech. So now we're going to go and add in our NLIS ID and username. So this is so that we can do the checks for those sires on your picks on your behalf. We can't do anything else other than check those. That's been checked as well, so that's saved. Now we need to go and add our property. So we'll put our pick number in here. Whoops, I take that back. Property name here. Pick number in the next one. Property address. Town. Postcode, and then we'll select the state from the drop down. We've saved that account. So we've got all our details in here now. We can save our Angus profile, and that gets us into the homepage of Angus Verified. So there's a couple of ways of doing this, and we spoke about the web portal. So on that screen where we used our QR code before, we'll go and log into that. I will change the screen I'm sharing for you. You've got that web portal there, Adam?
Yeah, it's there. Yep.
Okay, so I would be clicking on the little gear wheel at the top of the screen on the app, and I'm going to go and connect to that app. And I've actually taken a picture in the app of that QR code. You can't see that, but what it's done is told me on my phone that it was successful, and then it's opened up the account online. So it looks very similar to the phone. We've tried to keep it all pretty seamless. Okay, so we spoke about we want to record some size. So we've got the drop down here of all the lists if you want, or you can do it on this homepage. So pretty simple. We've got a CSV template. So I'm just going to show this CSV template. Hopefully I can just drag it across. Can you see that, Adam?
That's good.
Yep, cool. Okay, so all these templates are on our website, or you can also download them from this page as well, if you're not sure. So we've got all our individual sires, every sire or every animal, whatever we're recording is going to have its own line. We've got our pick number. We've got the sire IDs here. Were they an AI sire? No or yes. And then the RFID or the NLAS ID. So you can pick either or, but you just can't have both. So that's the file we're going to use. So I'm going to upload a CSV file. I'm going to go to that folder. And so here we've got record sires for the demo. And then this is where we spoke about the declarations. So you declare that all Angus sires are recorded and are registered with Angus Australia. If any of these were AI sires, we would go into the AI joining section and identify how many females each sire was joined to in that AI program for the particular year we were going to verify animals for. So we'll click both of those. Declare this information to be true and correct, and now submit to Angus Australia, and then apply that signature. So we press save. I know there's 9 sires, fingers crossed. No databases are down, hopefully. Successfully completed. So if you scroll down the page, then you'll get a list of your existing sires, all their birth dates, the day you put them in the system, and these green hyperlinks. You can click on one of those and it will take you to the information about that particular animal, what his RFID number is, his NLAS ID, and his pick number. This one won't show it, but had you recorded any treatments in the AgLive app, that information would show up here too. So you can do that for individual animals or on a mob level. So that's our sires. So I'm just going to flick back to the app now to show you a bit how we create a sire group. Okay, so we're sitting on this homepage still. Click on the Angus Verified button, and we're going to go sire groups. So you've got create your group or existing group. So we haven't created any groups yet, but we're going to select the year we're doing this for, which is 2019. We're going to call these sires 2019 sires. Number of sires is 9. Adjoining method, these are all natural. And then we add our sires. So at this stage, you could either be scanning bulls in the yard if you liked, and attach a scanner, or all those sires will be in a big list here below. So you can go along and tick those sires. You'll notice that the save button doesn't light up until I've actually selected 9, because that's what I said I would have in my group. So we've selected all those sires, press save. Then we go back into sire groups and we can go over here to existing groups, and that's where they'll be listed. So if we head into view, we've got our details. We could edit the group name if we wanted to, and our sires. And again, you can click on those green hyperlinks and that'll show you all the information about them. So I'm just going to now flick back to our web portal, because we're going to upload some animals. So we've recorded our sires. We don't have any AI sires, but if we did, we would literally go in there and we could either upload a template of data, or we can do it on the phone and just select an animal and say, we've joined them to this many females. We've created our sire groups, which you can also see here in your web portal, that everything comes across the same. So now we want to go and record some animals and actually get some animals verified. So the file that we're using for that, and I'll quickly just bring this across. This is a template with some trial information. So again, you pick number, your mob name, whatever you'd like to call them. You'll note here that I've got 2 different mobs in the same template, so you can add multiple groups in at once. So steers and heifers, all of their RFIDs, visual tags. So the visual tags are used to actually be the green hyperlink when you display the mob, the same as when you display the size. And
Lisa, we can just only see the Ag Live portal. We can't see that template. The
That's
template
right.
that you're going through.
Okay. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry about that, everybody. So we've got our pick number, our mob name. I just show here we've got a couple of different mobs on this same template. Their details. So the visual, the RFID or NLISID, the visual tags are what you use as the default to show the animals in your app. So as those green hyperlinks. If you don't have a visual tag, that's fine. It'll just use, I think it's the NLISID is the next number it will use by default. And if you have the RFID, it'll use that. So there will still be a way of looking at individual animals. We've got the sex of the animals. So we have to write steer or female. If you don't know and you want to make them all mixed, you can do that. We don't use heifer or cow or anything else like that. We just use female. And those names you can use are highlighted here at the top. Your birth year, your sire group. So we need to make sure that that's the exact same name that we gave the sire group when we created it in the phone. If it's not exactly the same, and that includes whether it's uppercase or lowercase, it has a bit of trouble identifying it. Our breeder pick, so this particular breeder's got 1 pick, so that makes it a lot easier. And then our birth range for those animals of the mob. So that's really, it's for the mob as opposed to individual animals, but that's the way we've got it displayed at the moment. Rightio, so I'm back onto the Ag Live page, which I'm hoping everyone can see.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Great. And we're going to record those animals. So again, upload, record animals, and you would find it. So you've got a declaration here that all those animals are going to meet the Black Angus cattle assessment guidelines that we reviewed before. Yes, the information is true and correct, and we'll put the signature on it and press save. We know there's 83 animals in that list, so that's good. And successfully completed. So that's going to give us our 2 mobs here below that we created. And once your animals are in the system as verified, that's pretty much it. So you can see there are those visual tags. Your animals are now verified and they stay verified. You don't need to identify any information about who owns them, just that they're in the system. They'll be recorded in the Angus Australia database using their RFID. But this is the information for this particular animal. We know that his sire is one of that group. And again, you can look at treatment information if you had added that. Okay. So now we're going to go and put a tag order request in. So back to the home page, we've got order tags. So something that's really important here to note is that we don't actually order the tags when we do this process. What it will do is create an order form that'll be emailed directly to you. And then you can take that to your preferred reseller. So whether it's Nutrient, Elders, CRT, whoever it might be. So that's the process that Allflex would like to use. So we have our pick number. We'll have the drop down depending on how many you've got. We've got either our normal tags or our management tags. If they're management tags, you'll actually get a sequence down here. It can be up to 6 digits, but that's the only change. We can't actually make design changes to these tags. So we're just going to get the ordinary tags for now. Number of tags. Now, if I tried to order 84, and I know I've only got 83 animals, when you get an error, number of tags exceeds limit. So you can only order as many tags as animals you verify. So we'll change that back to 83. Click save. And that's where you'll get this message telling you it'll be sent, the form will be emailed to you, it'll be a PDF document. You can either forward it on to your reseller or print it out, take it in. You won't need to do anything with it with the form. You won't need to make any changes. All the information will be included on it. If there are forms that come through with changes in them, I think Allflex, the plan is that they actually won't be processed until they can confirm those with us. So my advice is once you do print those out, that you just take them in and you don't add anything to them. Okay, so we're going to say close. So that's our tags have now been ordered. So now the other thing we can do here is if you were a purchaser of animals, or if you had a mob of animals that you wanted to check, are they actually in the system, or someone sold me some animals, I want to know if they're in the system. So we're here on the Angus Australia homepage on the website. Good to see our webinars are still being advertised. Hopefully we've still got people coming on. So we're going to head to database search, which is Angus Tech that we've been talking about. So we're clicking up here to sign in using your member information. Now for this part, to sign into Angus Tech, you don't need to be a member. You can sign in with your previous username as a non-member if you like, but you do need to register. A lot of people do it with their phone number. Okay, so we're now on this page. We're going to go to the tools up here, the top and about the middle, and we're going to click on Angus Verified. So we can either put in an individual RFID, or we can go and put up a CSV file. So I've got a CSV file here, and it is simply just that one column with all RFIDs with a heading at the top. So I'll go and upload that file. Look up Angus Verified Animals. It's 94 records. We're going to upload those, and then we're going to submit them. Now, there are two ways of uploading that information, as a PDF or as a CSV file itself. Now, I know I've added a few animals in here. We had, you said we had 83 in our lot. And these are the other IDs that I've added. You can see that the number from here onwards is slightly different sequence. So these are animals not in the program, not verified, in the program verified, and that sticks to those animals for life. So anyone can check that at any time. And then there's one final detail that we can show you. We head back to the portal. This screen sharing business is a bit crazy. Okay. Sorry, back to the app, and I just want to show you how you would invite some users to use it. So we're on the home page for Ag Live. So we've if we were in the Angus Verified page, we go back to home. Then we go to add, and then we might have here, we're going to add a user. So at the moment, I'm the only user. I want to add somebody. So I'm going to add one of our Ag Live IT technicians. It's probably not his title, but he certainly is the solver of all problems at Ag Live. We're going to say that he is a user, his email, and then a phone number, which he might kill me for giving this out, but anyway. Might have to try a different number. All right, so we'll send invite, and that will tell us that an SMS invitation has been sent with an invitation code. So we close that, and then it'll sit there pending until that person, they will get a text message. They can go in, click on the link, download the Ag Live app, and then when they come into, after they've put in a user profile, they can join the new business, and that's where they'll do that and enter that invitation code. So that is it in terms of the live demonstration. So now we're going to move into our live Q&A, and so I'm hoping some questions have come in. Those questions can be whether they're for me or for Angus or for James as well. He's still with us, hopefully. So yeah, chuck your questions in the chat function, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. So kicking off, first question, can I connect my scanning wand to the app and record animals in the yard?
Yes, you can. So you can use, there are 4 compatible scanners. So 2 of them are True Test scanners and 2 of them are Allflex scanners. You can Bluetooth those to your phone. You then will pick them up within the app, and that will allow you to record animals in the yard crush side rather than coming back home and downloading them and doing them with the CSV template. So there's a couple of options there.
Awesome. Thanks. Why do I need to provide my NLAS database login details?
Yeah, we do get asked this question quite a bit. So that information is required for us to do a third-party check of those sires that we're looking to see, are they actually on your pick? So we can't do anything with it other than just see if those animals are there. We can't look at any other information, but without that, we wouldn't be able to do that process.
Will Angus Verified data and cattle be audited by Angus Australia?
Good question. Good question. Yes. So as part of our terms and conditions of the program, obviously it's important that we can maintain the integrity. So we do actually identify that you may be randomly audited. It's certainly it's something that can be a bit challenging to do on a large scale, and it's also one of the reasons why we've kept the price so low on the program, is that they'll only really ever be random audits. You won't be audited every year like some of the programs that are out there. But potentially you could be audited, and that would be, you could be on farm, or it could be a remote audit, and it would be paperwork, NVDs, might be proof of joining, it might be proof of AI joinings, and also looking at some bulls, looking at some cattle, and just covering off on what's the information that's been put up.
Great. If I have an Angus Tech login already, can I join Angus Verified?
You can, but you still need to make sure you're a member of Angus Australia, because you don't need to be a member of Angus Australia to have that Angus Tech login. And generally that Angus Tech login is updated when you become a member. So as long as you're a member, then yes, you can get in there.
Great. Are there any restrictions on using the Angus Verified and associated logos on our own marketing material?
There is a set of guidelines that we send to people when they request the logos, but as long as the animals are Angus Verified, then not really. Obviously, there's a few standard things like not distorting the logo or changing it and things like that, but we have seen people using it correctly out in the marketplace already. It's been on a few agent ads that have been on Facebook and social media. Some people have used it in AuctionsPlus as one of their images. And that was previous to the AV tag being applied. But no, as long as the animals are Angus Verified and all of them in that particular lot that you're marketing, that's fine.
Great, thanks. If I have multiple pick numbers, but they are all linked, do I need to transfer animals in the NLAS database as I move my cows and bulls around them?
It's a really good question. And I've had a couple of people talk to me about this, and I guess people with multiple pick numbers would really probably know this a lot better than I do. But if you do have multiple pick numbers, you can consolidate all of those to one, so that any movements that you're doing in between those pick numbers, that you don't have to actually do transfers in the NLAS database. So that certainly makes it a lot easier, and we've certainly the feedback from NLAS is that they would ask us to encourage people to consolidate those pick numbers. Obviously, if there's an EU accreditation on a particular pick number, you can't do it that way. And if you did have that instance, if you had the cows on one pick and the bulls on another, then it actually wouldn't allow you to verify your animals. So if you're moving them, you really should be notifying the database. I know it can be frustrating, but it's really about that integrity and traceability.
Great.
There's got to be a question for Angus in here somewhere, surely.
What if I've used a bull, but it was never transferred to my pick?
Yep, and we really have found that quite a bit. And I won't be ashamed to say that it's happened to ourselves. Quite often people will buy a bull, and particularly if it's not in a sale with an agent looking after the sale, and bull turns up and jumps off the truck and out to the paddock, and then the transfer kind of gets forgotten. So there's a couple of things to be mindful of. So if you still own the bull, it's quite easy to just backdate the transfer. You need to make sure you do backdate it to the correct date. if the bull's been sold on, you would need to get in touch with the new person, because they would need to verify that you want to make that, you want to do a sort of a rewind and fix it up in the NLIS database. The really unfortunate one is bulls that have been sent to slaughter. So if the bull was never transferred to you and then they headed off to the meatworks and their transfer was not done, as soon as they're identified as dead by the meat processor, then you're not able to backtrack. So in this instance, it's really important that we make sure that bulls are transferred to us, so that we can actually verify the calves that are from them.
Great, thanks, Liz. Can I order my tags before I have verified my steers?
No, and I know this one can be a little bit challenging. I know that some people would like to put their tags in when they put their buttons in, but unfortunately we need an identifier in the actual database to be able to verify those animals. So you've really got to have your analyzed tags in their ears before, and those tags in that CSV spreadsheet that we showed to verify those animals first.
Great. What if I lease a bull to put with my cows? How is that checked in the NLIS database?
Yep. So just same again, that, you know, once, if you lease a bull, then when he turns up on your farm, he should be transferred to your pick. Obviously, the NLIS database is not a representation of ownership, but just a representation of location of animals. So you'd need to ensure that he'd been transferred on at the right time and then transferred back off, obviously.
Great. Can I verify steers or heifers after I've purchased them?
This is a good question, and we've had a couple of instances where people have tried to do this, and it's something that we're working on developing in the program. No is the short answer. So, and this being because even though you might know who the bulls are that the cattle are by, those actual bulls were never on your pick. So we wouldn't have the authority to be looking at that bull on somebody else's pick. So you wouldn't actually be able to check. We get the same instance when people buy PTIC females and they want to verify the calves out of those females. We're trying to build in what we would call a third-party authentication, which you can actually do currently with the NLIS database, where the person that you bought those PTIC females from would be able to log into your account as a user, which we showed you, and fill in a form. They'd be directed as a specific user, directed to a form to allow you access to look at their pick for those particular bulls at the particular time. So we're in the process of developing that. It's not there yet. It's something it took us a little while to find out how we could do it. But yeah, you've got to be the breeder, and if it's PTIC, then we're working on it, and watch this space.
Great, thanks, Liz. Are the tags compulsory, and if not, would you use them in the sale yards and also when you sell cattle to the feedlot or the processor?
No, the tags aren't compulsory. We're certainly encouraging people to use them in the sale yards. Obviously, they're pretty bright. They're yellow. They're a good identifier. But you know, if you were selling direct to the feedlot, then I would be really reluctant to go out and put the cost in terms of purchasing the tags and the effort of putting those tags in, because those feedlotters are able to upload those RFIDs when they purchase them to check their status, and they're going to rip those tags out when they come in anyway.
Great. I think this one could be for Angus. Will the size used on the animals put up for the auction be easily identifiable by a potential purchaser?
Will the size? Can you read that again to me?
Will the size used on the animals put up for the auction be easily identifiable by a potential purchaser?
So we have we're probably talking about two different things here. One is around Angus Verified. So the size that sit within Angus Verified do not come across into the catalogue. But there is a place where you can write those size in, and that's under the bloodlines section. So they don't automatically come across the size, but there is a place for I don't have it in the example, for the agent to type in the side details.
Great. Thanks, Angus.
I might just further add to that. I think you probably got a little bit of a curly one there, Angus, from our end. We are anticipating at having that information available. It's not readily available to look up who is siring what, but it's certainly something that we're looking to have that show up in the system. Obviously, it certainly validates the proof, but also validates performance. We're hoping to be able to link this database of cattle up with things like MyMSA and feedlot databases. So obviously there's a whole lot of data recorded in the seed stock industry. There's a whole lot in the feedlot. There's a whole lot at the processing sector, but there's really very little major databases that record animals in the commercial sector. And that's where we kind of lose a bit of the power of the information that we've got to see, to really look at the genetics that we might want to follow. So we're certainly working on building something that's going to allow that information to come straight across, and probably just thought about the next idea that I'm going to talk to you about offline, Angus Street.
And my point is, there's no reason it can't come across.
Yeah.
It's just not in phase one. We didn't build it that way, but it doesn't come across now, but there's no reason it can't.
Great. Thanks, guys. What happens if one of the animals I have already verified loses its NLAS tag before I sell it?
Yep. So, and that's reasonably common, probably not as common as it used to be. Certainly not as common as it is in drought times when cattle are all got their heads in troughs knocking tags off. But in that instance, the best instance would be to put a new tag in and record that tag in the system. Because it's only one tag, you could type that NLAS tag ID into your phone while you're standing in the yards, and you put the new tag in and verify that animal. It doesn't really matter that the other tag's fallen out, because no one's ever going to pick it up and use it again. So that's what I would be doing.
Great. Are the Angus verified tags returned to Angus Australia when the animal is slaughtered?
No. Because I would suggest that because those tags are in there they're in there for as long as until the next person that wants to keep them. If you sell them on and the feedlot pulls them out or the processor pulls them out, no. But they're it's a good question actually, but no.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for the questions that I've had come in, unless there's any late stragglers.
Any questions for James, anybody? Someone has done it all and topped the market well and truly. Well, that sounds like it might be it then, Adam.
I think it could be wrapping up, yes. All
right, well, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Angus and Samantha from AuctionsPlus for joining us and demonstrating what those lots are going to look like and how you can search for those animals. Thank you also to James for jumping on and giving us your thoughts about the program. Also, thank you to Adam. He's done a great job with our questions again. We had one of these on Thursday night with our agents, and it's good to have Adam involved. He's been working in the background and learning the ropes around supporting the program. So he's certainly one of those people, aside from myself, that will be providing that support for the program. So thank you very much. It's been a great evening. Good to see so many people on board. This will be recorded, so if you do want to go back and look at anything, you'll be able to get that on the Angus Australia website in a couple of days. Don't think I've forgotten anything. Thank you very much, everyone. Great for you to be here. I'm excited that everyone's involved.